Hi, we're coming live to you from Cheyenne, Wyoming.
That's right. REMAX, Capital Properties.
Very windy here today in Wyoming. So windy that when I was coming in with my bags, it was kind of rocking me and I had some high heels on. And I did end up going home to change those because I couldn't carry my bags and walk in my high heels in the wind. But that's what we get. The opposite was this weekend when it was 60-something degrees with no wind.
Amazing. I just walked in here and I said, how can I be so grateful on Sunday? It was 60 degrees. We were out. Conrad and I, my son and I went out to the motocross track. It was our first time riding this year, which was great. No wind, gorgeous. And then today, I just walked in from touring some of our new listings, and I'm thinking, occasionally there's that passing thought that says to yourself, what am I doing here?
Yeah. Why do people live in Wyoming? Well, we all choose to live in Wyoming. I saw another agent friend of ours just a minute ago. She was dropping something off at the office, and she said, well, I'd rather have the wind than the snow. And I went, I'm not sure. And she goes, really? You'd rather have snow than wind? And I said, well, probably. I'd rather have the snow than no wind. And Stacy is the smartest, I guess. She spoke up and said she'd rather have no wind and no snow.
Of course.
But anyway, it's great. Anyone who lives in Wyoming, we choose it for many reasons. And not always the wind is at the top of the list. But we have clean air, someone told me one time.
That's right.
Right?
So what do you have here? I see you have a full list. I have no list. You have a full list of things you want to talk about. So I am what you call winging it.
Well, we just got back from the REMAX convention out in Las Vegas, where we get together with all of the folks from around the globe that are REMAX branded, and it's always an opportunity to just learn and grow and remove yourself from your daily routine and be around others. And so today in our sales meeting, we went around and everyone gave their biggest takeaway, and I just always find it fascinating that not one of us said the exact same thing.
Right.
Because everybody gets what they need at the right time. Right. And out there it was 80 degrees and no wind, so even that part was really spectacular. But it's always full of incredible insights and game-changing strategies, and of course a lot of fun with our team. There were 11 of us this year. Yeah. And we have so much fun, and we have some special meetings. And those normally happen in a speakeasy out there in Las Vegas. But anyway, so much fun to be together with everyone. So again, we're live at REMAX Capital Properties in Cheyenne, Wyoming, where we have one thing in mind, and it is to always give an excellent experience to our agents and anyone who works with us as buyers and sellers. So one thing that really struck me when we were in Las Vegas for the REMAX convention was Brian Buffini. And anyone out there, if you've seen Brian Buffini in person, he is truly amazing. It is not surprising that he immigrated here from Ireland and has become so successful. So his stories are so funny and so filled with his mannerisms and his charm. He's just awesome. But he was talking about the realities of being a real estate agent and how hard that can be. And when he first got into real estate, when he moved here, he said that his wife told him, that's great, Brian, but just remember, I'm used to having food with my meals. And I thought that was hilarious because there are days that you think, my goodness, what's going on? So when I was home with the kids for 11 years while you produced, and there were days that you probably thought, my wife probably wants food with her meals, and my kids too.
It can be a crazy market, and sometimes you feel like, like no one's looking at my listings. Why aren't people looking at my listings? And it's really not that. It's the market. You can't, bend buyers' arms to get in the properties. So the highs are highs and the lows are lows as an agent. But overall, It's been a great career. It's very fun, and boy, the people you get to meet. It's a lot of fun stories.
Right. So it's not for the faint of heart. Right? Being a real estate agent, it's not for the faint of heart. So you need to surround yourself with people that encourage you to grow. And my dad said to me when I was very young, I'd say in my 20s, he said, if you aren't growing, you're dying. So I try to live that way. I mean, I wake up every day, trust God, do good, and figure out how I can grow in each day. And technology is not my most common skill set or my strongest.
It's really improved.
It has improved. Yeah. And so we were just out at the convention and we got to hear some of the coolest speakers, and it wasn't all over my head. So that was amazing. So we really encourage our agents to continue to grow, to be a part of the world, to embrace the change. I'm not saying you have to embrace every single change that occurs, but no matter what, there was a time where there was no vehicle, there was a time there was no electricity, there was a time there was no computer. I was actually thinking last night when I prepared for this, I thought there was a time when the typewriter would have been considered a really out there tool. Imagine the telephone. And so anyway, I think it's really, that's what I love about going, is that regardless of what it does for you, it just reminds you to always stay on top of what's going on and how you can grow and how you can learn from things. And so aligning yourself with those people. And the REMAX environment is full of high achievers and high producers, happy people. And so I really always enjoy that. And they encourage us to level up. But so then back to Brian Buffini, he shared a wonderful slide set. And I thought it was interesting that he talked about the average seller age was 63 years old.
63 years old, average seller.
Average seller. And so what's that mean? You know, what's that mean for our agent? What does that mean for the economy? What does that mean for the real estate market? All the way down to repair people, plumbers, electricians, everyone. You know, there's a ripple effect in the real estate market into all the other industries. So just really that was interesting. And also first-time home buyers. They typically are a big part of the market, and they were 24%. So 24% of last year's real estate market was first-time home buyers. That's at an all-time low.
Right.
Our commitment here at REMAX Capital Properties has always been very strong, geared toward first-time home buyers. And many of us at our agency have children that are in that market. And so we will continue to do everything that we can to educate first-time home buyers on what the steps are going to be. I know my first place was like $25,000, and you would not find that today. And so how does a young 20-something-year-old, mid-20s, just getting out of college, how do they prepare for that? And being not a lifelong, but a very long time Dave Ramsey follower, and you're the Dave Ramsey local provider since 2009, you know, how can we share those ideas to help the first-time home buyers get ready to buy their first home? So we want to see that number higher than 24%, because that's what helps the American economy go round.
Yeah, and I think the first step with that is really getting that tape out of everyone's mind, which is, you know, a lot of young folks are saying, well, I'll just never be able to buy a home. And that's just not the case. I know, looking back when I was, you know, going to buy my first home, I thought, I don't know that I'll be able to buy a home. I don't know that I'll be able to qualify. So there's some steps, you know, that you have to take to achieve that and get that tape out of our mind that, oh, I'll never be able to buy a home, because that's just not the case. And, you know, incomes have dramatically increased for everyone. And I think, you know, it's just these huge numbers, but there's a lot of things we can do to guide people through that process. But get that tape out of your mind that you'll never be able to buy a home, because that's not the case. You will be able to.
I think even as parents and grandparents, we have a responsibility to our children to help them line out what the steps are. And it's funny what our kids think are needs and what we see are needs. You know, they're very different, and what we had, but we didn't have access to so much stuff either. So anyway, looking forward to continuing that. The REMAX convention really helped me to reignite that thought of how do we help? How do we help people learn how to manage their finances at a young age? Our kids, we still have one in high school, and there's not a lot of that personal finance education. There are some classes, but kids have to choose to plug into them. And everybody's different too in how they do it. So anyway, that was something exciting for me at the convention. How about you, Steve? What's going on in the real estate market right now?
Oh, you mean like a market update?
Well, I guess we want to call it that.
Yeah. Well, so our average home price right now is $412,000.
So we were just talking first-time home buyers. That makes that a challenge.
Yep. So that's your date. You know, the market of between $300,000 and $400,000 is very active. It's very competitive, and we're still seeing multiple offers in that. And so that could be a little challenging, and that's in that first-time home buyer price range. And it's really funny, as each level, every year, the level keeps usually going up. And so, you know, we used to be able to buy homes for $80,000, and that was a first-time home buyer house, and it was, you know, livable, and then it kept going up. Well, what we're finding now is a lot of these homes that are even $280,000 are not necessarily livable, like turnkey where you can move in. And so, you know, it's a challenging market, and you just need some real direction with some help with your agent that's going to give you some strategies and ways to get your offers accepted. I had an offer just not too long ago that, it was on a very competitive listing, and I'm the listing agent, and we had an agent that brought an offer outside the brokerage, and their buyer, they gave the seller, our seller, like 4 or 5 days to respond to the offer. And that's just, in my opinion, not working hard for your buyer when you're giving a seller that long to respond to the offer, because it's on the market during that time. And so when you are giving that much time, you're just, and maybe that's a little bit of thinking on being polite and giving them enough time, but it is not working for the buyer in my mind on that. So anyway, you got to have some strategies and some direction from your agent on how to get your deals accepted. But $412,000 is our average price. That's year to date. So just for a couple months.
What's that include?
So that includes condos, townhomes, and single family. In town, rural, new construction, everything.
Okay.
425.
So the new construction would sway that. Some of the rural properties, townhomes. What's an average townhome? Do you know that off the top of your head?
A lot of it just depends, but I would say it's going to be in the 400. Yeah, real close to the average price.
Wow.
350 to 4. It just depends on the townhome and where they are. So it really varies in the location and that. But our average days on market is 47 days on market, and that's inched up a little bit. I know from our brokerage standpoint, we're beating that time period, and we have for about the last 10 years. We've had the lowest average days on market for our listings through REMAX Capital Property. So that's been wonderful. Helping our sellers sell sooner, and that all translates into money. I mean, if your home's on the market an extra 30 days, that could be another monthly payment. That could be another $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. You have insurance, you have utilities, just everything, maintenance. So all those things add up, and that does save sellers some money from that standpoint. So that's kind of what's going on in the market. Really, I think you mentioned the average seller's age. The average buyer's age, if I'm not mistaken, was 57 or 59? 57 or 59?
That didn't stick.
57 or 59. No matter which it is, that has gone up dramatically. And I'm talking like by 10 years. So our average buyer used to be 47, 49. Now we're into the 50s, the high 50s.
That is big change.
So that's telling you what's happening and who's moving. That age group, that's who's moving. And those are the people that are selling their homes. A lot of these folks they have cash from selling their home because they've been in their homes a while, and they're buying with cash, but they're older people. We're seeing a lot of even multi-generational, kind of families getting together to buy properties, and so that shifted some. So it's just been a very interesting market, and obviously interest rates have gone up, and that hasn't affected these cash buyers because they just don't need to get a loan. So,
right. It's a fun time.
Yeah.
Fun to watch. I mean, whatever take you want to have with it. I mean, change is just change, right?
Yeah.
And so we'll see what happens over the next few years. But anyway, thanks for the market update.
Yeah, you bet. What else do you have on your list? You got a big list.
I do. I think one of the other fun things is I love learning. And so we were able to see the speaker from Mark Randolph, who was one of the founders of Netflix. And I thought he was fantastic, but I loved his story of just driving around and really encouraging us to think. And we all think, but like think in a different way, like what's working, what's not working, what could be better. And I like that there was the idea of you never know when you'll have $1 billion idea. And he talked about going back and forth. So many of you have probably heard his story, but I never had. And I just thought it was so great. And he talked about how originally when they were going to do Netflix, they were going to mail VHS tapes. And obviously that would be very expensive. And then it became the DVDs, and that was a little less expensive. But then it was the storing it, and then it became digital. And now they do their own movies. And it was just so much fun to hear. And also when they went to Blockbuster and offered Blockbuster to buy it for $5 million because they were $5 million in debt, and they said, no, are you crazy? And now I believe he said it's a $300 billion business. So just so incredible what other people can go through, but they're just like us.
Right.
And then the Zach Cass from OpenAI, I mean, that wasn't even in place until November, or in the common use until November of 22. So what a huge change that has been. And that brilliant kind of mind a lot of times is unrelatable. And he was hilarious. He was so funny. And then when people would clap, he would say, I think my mom's in the audience. She does that. She shows up to these things. Like, he was just so funny and so relatable. And that's why I say they're just like us. Like, you never know who this morning in our sales meeting, who in here can have the next $1 billion idea. Or maybe it's you.
Right.
Maybe it's me. Maybe it's Tara. She's back there recording for us, and we appreciate it so much. But we don't know where that idea will come from. And so that's why we called them meetings, and we cracked up about that, because it doesn't matter where you are, you should just always be thinking of what you can do better, thinking of what the people around you can do better, what system can be better, how you can eat better, how you can do whatever it is you're doing, but making thinking part of your life. So I encourage our agents, I encourage our family, I encourage myself to be innovative and trying to decide how we can stay ahead, how we can add value. So I know on our website we have buying guides that can add value to you, selling guides that can add value, all kinds of blogs and tools and tricks. And then our agents, when you get the chance to talk to any of our REMAX agents, you know, they just are a great group of people. They have a lot of integrity. They like to sell real estate, and we have a lot of fun while we do it. And so just hearing those speakers, you can even be brilliant and a billionaire and still really fun and have fun with what you're doing. So the best ideas come from staying curious and always pushing yourself forward. I really enjoyed that. What about you? Did you enjoy those two speakers?
Oh, I did, and I think AI, you know, everyone's talking about AI. Everything's AI. And it truly is going to be a phenomenal pivotal point in history, I think, for everyone. And it's at this point in my mind, it's like, I know I need to get into it. And I've dabbled in it, which is where you go. You ask it some questions or whatever. Maybe you want it to type something for you. But that's really just the tip of the iceberg, and what it's doing, and the efficiency it can provide for everyone's job, everyone's lifestyle, everyone's tasks. It's really going to be incredible. So it's not a matter of if, it's when, and the time, I think, to get onto it is start to.
I love the ideas of what it's going to do for healthcare. I know that wasn't any speaker or anything like that, but I can only imagine what the healthcare outcomes will be for some of that, and just early detection and prevention and some of that. So anyway, yeah, just fascinating to make you think, and processes, and what can you do better, and what can you implement. And I really, really love that too. So another part of it was just the power of REMAX and our team being together, the power of the REMAX brand, and that we're always staying relevant. And this morning in our sales meeting, Rebecca Hesh just said she loved the pool. She loved, I can't remember what else she mentioned, but then she goes, but then if I need to take it back to what I learned at the conference, I just always love to be a part of the REMAX brand, because they're always looking out for us, always looking at the growth. It's not like you have to try to do that and do this and do that and do this. You know, there are just so many things that are put in place for you. And so many different announcements were made, and it was wonderful. Spending time with our agents was wonderful. Rebecca and Amber, they've worked together 7 years, and they just finally had time at this convention to really, really connect. And they mentioned that this morning, how much they appreciated that.
Right.
Yeah. So we bring together the best people, the best ideas, and endless opportunities to grow. So I really value that. So we're here live, REMAX Capital Properties in Cheyenne, Wyoming, just talking about what's happening in the real estate market, what's blowing around outside with the wind, and how you can grow as you continue to learn in things. So that's what I really appreciate, is always the growing and the laughing.
Yeah, I really enjoyed our convention too. It's just it's really great to get to know a lot of the folks. We've been around for years, but you get to know each other more and more, and in a different environment. So just like as anyone's coworkers or whatever, you may be on this level, but then when you start spending some time away from maybe your careers or whatever, you start to see kind of what how they tick and that. And it's really been interesting. I really enjoyed at the convention that we've truly believed in the brand of REMAX, and we always have. And I joined REMAX in 2002,
right.
So many years ago. But I've always felt super connected to the brand, and the reason is I think it's a lot of like-minded people that are interested in continually growing and continually doing great. And it attracts the same people. And so we're not interested in, downlines and seeing how much money we can make off of another agent, or just as an example, those sort of things. Our interest is to really do extremely well and create a solution and solve problems for people. And that's what really I got out of this convention, to be together and learn those from the other folks we've been with. So it was really great. Yeah.
Right, and I love this morning, one of the agents shared that here in Cheyenne, we have an awesome community, awesome collaborative real estate industry here. But when you're able to get outside of Cheyenne, like you might be really killing it here, or doing really well here, or really maybe you need to level up. And when you go into those conventions where you're bringing people together globally, it doesn't matter if they produce more than you or don't, you can learn from everyone. And that was something that I really appreciated hearing this morning, that getting outside of Cheyenne allows her to just really see what other people are doing and get you remotivated and oh yeah, there are a lot of things I can do. And so that's the power of the REMAX brand for us. And I'm just grateful to be part of a company that truly invests into its people, whether it's us, REMAX Capital Properties, or it's REMAX as a brand and all the tools that they do for us, like Rebecca said this morning. So anyway, I just appreciated it, and thank you. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll answer all your questions in the comments. Have a great day.
See you later, Cheyenne.